she can see us.
Okay.
Hello. Hi.
So, first question, and again, up to you.
Wait, no.
Do you want
Hold on.
counter here, or do we want to kick him off? I'll do either.
Okay, Connor can stay here. It's fine.
Are you sure?
Right.
No, there's no shame in
That's
saying
fine.
no.
I assume you don't want me to troll you?
No. I'm fine. Okay. All right.
Okay.
If I was brought on an hour earlier,
Thank you for the super chat, Egghead. $5 fiat currency. Thank you. Okay, sorry. Let's see what Foodshops has to say here.
I probably would. If I was brought on an hour earlier, I probably would, probably make my arguments on this panel. Of course, I think, you're a good person. I think Connor is a good person. Now, here's the thing: is what I don't appreciate is this. Is basically, I think originally we agreed on, I think 7. Correct me if I'm wrong.
I said it would
7.
probably be 7 when we were done with the main conversation, but obviously
Sure.
they like to
And
talk,
then-
and so I underestimated that.
Oh, yeah, that's fine. I want to show you how it sort of built up to it. Okay, so it was 7 p.m. first, right? And then because I'm trying to add 3 hours because I live in Pacific, right?
Sure.
And then it was pushed back an hour, which I was also fine with, right? And then you told me Brianna Wu didn't want to have me on, right?
Mhm.
And I also accepted that, right? Now hold on just one second. I sort of want to just disable. Hold on. All right. Okay. And then what happened was at some point it was past the 8 p.m. point, right? And I DM'd you. I was like, hey, we are sort of 30 minutes past the point, or sort of past the point. I don't think I said 30 minutes, right? Okay. I accept that. You didn't respond. It's fine, right? Then obviously I say, hey, Whick, check DMs in the chat, right? You did not check DMs, or maybe you did, but you
I
didn't
did
respond
not
yet.
because
Okay.
I was moderating a show. I was busy.
That's fine.
Yes, absolutely.
That's okay.
Mhm.
All right. So at some point, all right, I sort of got impatient. However, I felt as though the terms have changed enough to the point where I began to complain, right? And now you can say that I'm being rude in the chat. However, I would say that I had apt justification to complain in the chat publicly, okay? And
Okay.
then at some point, because of my complaining, you guys had a short segment in which you guys were dogging on me, right? Now at that point, it is considered, polite to let me on because you guys are dogging on me, right? At that moment, because at that point, the arguments are fresh in my mind, the arguments are fresh in your mind, and we are able to hash them out, right? Now, and then it just sort of went back and forth for a really long time until, now, right? So I guess what I'm trying to say is that I have no problem having this conversation with you. I have no problem remedying stuff with you. However, I feel hurt and I feel disrespected. And here's the thing is that I'm as
Rightfully
much
so.
of a person as Vaush. I'm as much of a person as Destiny, and painting me as schizo, unhinged, a drama farmer is an easy way to discount my arguments when I think right now I'm articulating just fine, when I think that I articulated far better than I did months ago.
So how about
okay?
this?
So
We
I'm
can
not
either
going to
do
grace
this-
you with clout,
we
and
can
I'm
do
going to
this-
go now. Bye.
Well,
Damn.
Okay. Well,
I get it. Wick, thank you for the raid. You're not going to be too happy with me, but thank you for the raid. I appreciate the raid. Welcome to the channel, guys. I'm Stardust. You may have seen me on some panels before. I also have previously hosted my own panels. Welcome. I'm just reviewing this conversation. I reviewed the where they talked about all of this stuff. So yeah. Interesting. I do have some criticisms here. I do have some criticisms. But thank you for the raid. I do appreciate it. So yeah, if Whick is available, I would love to talk to him about this. But yeah, damn.
she's welcome to reschedule if she wants, but she is not the main character. I will do whatever I show and to try to manipulate people. Right? There's a reason that people don't trust Foodshops.
Okay, you can do whatever you want with your own show, but even as a panel host, if you give somebody your word that they're going to be able to come on and they're going to be able to defend themselves and defend their point, and then you have them wait for 4 hours, things happen all the time, right? And don't get me wrong, I used to run panels. I used to run panels quite often. When you give somebody your word, you should try to fulfill it to the best of your ability. And if you've got a surprise guest who wants to come on, who is not okay with that person being on the show, then the surprise guest will have to take the back seat. I'm sorry, the person that you guaranteed an ability to come on the show and an ability to talk and say their piece needs to have that. Why are people who are not scheduled on the show getting more priority than the person who is scheduled, who put their time aside, right? That's my opinion. I would never do that as a panel host. So, but yeah, that's just my opinion. But yeah, shout out to Whick TV. You let the panel dog on your guest and then move on and then act like you're graciously letting the person on that you jerked around on and be indignant. Yeah, value other people's time, right? That is the respectful thing to do. Regardless of how you feel about somebody's beliefs, regardless of how you feel about them as a person, if you're giving your word to people and then you don't fulfill your word, or you don't even try to fulfill your word, what worth does your word have? You know, and even then, there have been times where I have had to reschedule people, right? Most of the time, I try to give them as much advance as possible, right? If I tell somebody, you know, can you come to my panel on Sunday at 7 p.m.? And then I find out that I've overbooked. I try to message them as soon as possible, tell them, hey, like, you can't, you know, I can't have you on. I'm so sorry, I overbooked. Can I have you for the next one? Or can I contact you in the future? You know, or if it's going to be running late, I try to tell everybody that it's going to be running late. I told her before the show that she would be on after the main segment, hours before the show. Sure. I have some, I do have some criticisms though, right? Like, again, if you value people's time, you don't make them wait 4 hours. If somebody comes on the show who all of a sudden decides that they don't want to interact with that person, probably should let that person know as much advance as possible, right? So, and yeah, I mean, like, it just is shitty, right? It's a shitty position to be in where people are talking about you and you don't get a chance to defend yourself. So, you know, again, it's like, you just want to be respectful of people's time. So she had the chance, but yeah, but it was like 4 hours, right? 4 hours of waiting. So, you know, that's not really valuing people's time, right? We didn't mention food shops until the last hour, right? You didn't mention food shops until the last hour, but like, she still waited 4 hours, right? And did not give her a specific time. I gave a guess. Okay, that's fine. I'm saying things happen, right? Things get pushed back. I don't know. That's fine. Things get pushed back, things happen, all of that, right? But then you've got like people who are coming onto the show who weren't scheduled versus somebody who set aside their time to be on your show, still waiting. So that's all I'm saying. So, but I get it, you know, like, nobody likes to be told what to do on their own show. But yeah, somebody put their time aside, right? And you can say like, oh, I gave an estimated time. Sure. That person still put aside their time and waited. Let me in. Okay, just a second.
Oh, I was in your live stream call-in thing.
Oh, my bad. Oh, I just figured I'd call you.
Okay,
yeah, I see this.
Stream. Hold on.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, there's a lot of misinformation. I did not give her a specific time. I gave her a guesstimate. I let her know at least a week in advance, that she was not going to be the main subject of the show, that she, as a courtesy, right, I invited her on because I wanted to give her a chance to answer for some of the things that she had said, because I know how people can be very dishonest in their framing in this space. Mm-hmm. It happens all the time. And so while I had seen some clips that were pretty damning, I wanted to give her a chance to hear her out, see what she had to say, and give her that chance, right? I told her the day of, right, hours before, that, because I talked to Wu, and this isn't the first time people have ran into this. I do have a standing rule in my show, that if you say, hey, I don't want to be on with this person, I will respect that, okay? And so, again, I talked to Wu about it, and she's like, no, I don't really want to be on with food shops for X, Y, and Z. That's fine. It doesn't matter why to me, right? Fair enough. That's what we'll honor going forward. But I was saying, okay, after the show, after the main segment, you can come on and we'll hear you out. I guessed in these DMs that it was going to be about 8 p.m. because that's how long my shows last, usually about 2 hours. I was wrong. I'll take the L on that. Okay, yeah, I was wrong. But yeah, to come on and to cry foul, right? To act as if I should have set aside my entire discussion that I was having in order to cater to her time frame. If she couldn't do it, then we could reschedule. That is a thing that could happen, right?
Sure. I do have a question. I do have a couple of questions. So my question number one. Who was supposed to be on this? Who were told that they were
originally it was going to be SFO and Brianna Wu.
Okay, and then what was initially promised to, or not promised, but what was initially given to food shops as far as information?
Initially with food shops, because the last time I had SFS, the last time Dev was on my stream, so not yesterday, but the time before, he was doing a call-in show with me, and he's like, "Hey, you should really give food shops a chance, right, to kind of hear her out." And I agreed with him. I'm like, "That's true." So I was like, well, we'll set up a time at some point where we can have this happen. And that was weeks and weeks and weeks ago. So things happened, right? I got busy, but I saw this as like, hey, SFO is going to be on, and I know that he defends you in this. So why don't we just do it at the same time? So initially I was like, okay, we could have a small segment, and I have these DMs as well, that you can come on for about 20, 30 minutes, and we will hear you out. And Wu can be there too. I didn't mind, right? Like, and we could just.
When was that told to food shops?
Let me look. One moment, please. I gotta get up the DM. Okay, so February the 8th.
Okay, so February the 8th, you told her about this specific date and the specific call that was happening.
Yes, it looks like on the 8th. Okay. I was like, it's still 2:20. No, actually, I may have been reminding her that. Sorry, I'm looking. It might have been earlier.
That's fine. February 8th. Fine. Okay.
Right.
When?
Quite a while ago, right?
Yeah, but when did the plans change in which Brianna said that she didn't want food shops on at the same time as her?
So Brianna, and I have the DMs for this as well, right? Had concerns not about food shops, but about Vaush. And so we were supposed to have a call over the weekend about it to kind of talk about it, and I wasn't exactly sure what her issue was. So, but that didn't happen because she was busy, and I was able to get a hold of her that day, Tuesday, right? Yesterday.
The day of the
and
okay.
And I was like, hey, food shops wants to come on, and we want to do this, and she's like, no. I was like, okay, that's fair. We'll do it after. That's what we'll do it after the stream. And after you and SFO have your discussion, we'll do it after.
Why wouldn't you tell Brianna about this, like, more than just the day of?
I didn't think there would be an issue. I didn't know that they had a thought. I thought, oh, okay, because she is open, and my show is open to guests coming on occasion. Like, we thought you would come on, for example, right?
Yeah, but again, I had something else going on. But I guess my thing I would say my criticism is, like, you know, when I used to organize panels, I think I tried to make it pretty clear who all would be there, who all would be, you know, who all might possibly call in, right? Especially if I've already talked to somebody who's talked about calling in and giving their piece,
I usually
right?
Have a
and let me just finish. Let me finish. Okay. So usually I would, especially if there's somebody who's scheduled to call in, I would let everybody know who's part of that panel or whatever, that, okay, you know, this person is scheduled to call in, right? And I usually let them know in advance. So where the mess up seems to be here is that Brianna found this out day of, right? And again, this is not Food Shop's fault. I do think Food Shops has a reason to be upset about this. Especially given that she, you know, did put aside time for this, and then basically got put off for like 4 hours, and then had to hear also people talking about her.
Wait, no, that's not true.
Right?
She did not get put off for 4 hours. She knew in advance, even before today, right? Because as you said, initially I said, it's not going to be at the beginning. I'm going to talk to them first. I was like, okay, we're going to have them on.
You still gave her an estimated time, though.
And then I said, it'll be more like 8 p.m. than 7 p.m. Eastern. Both of these were guesstimates, right? These were guesstimates. This is not in any way, shape, or form giving her a full time. And even if it was, that is not 4 hours being put off. It is at the most 2.
What time did she get onto your panel?
10.
Okay. So okay. I would still say 7 p.m. was the estimate that was initially given, and that's fine. Things happen. People are late, whatever, right? So 8 p.m., right? But if she didn't get on until 10, then yeah, I would say she estimated for a certain time, then she adjusted, right? It's still somebody who is putting aside time to be on your show.
I mean, and she got the time. She was on my show. But when she got on my show, she chose not to be on my show. She chose
I think she had every
and
right
leave.
to, though, right? She wanted to say her piece and then she left.
Okay, well then she got to say her piece.
Right, but again, this is the issue here is there's a miscommunication, or there was like a lack of communication to Brianna. I think it's fair if she is like, oh, I don't want to talk to this person on stream. Fine, right? But that lack of communication did lead to the devaluation of Foodshop's time. And no matter how you feel about somebody, no matter how you feel about their positions or their politics or whatever, right? If they are putting aside time to come onto your show, even if you gave them only an estimate, it is still inconsiderate of their time.
In what world? I can't think of a situation. So if and I've had situations. We'll talk about Ohio. Let's talk about this. Mm-hmm. So Ohio, I was like, okay, they want me on at this specific time to go on the live stream they had, right? And they gave me a guesstimate. They said, well, we're not sure, right? Because the schedule's unclear. We may or may not have politicians coming on. So be ready around this time. I think it was 4:00. Okay. So I was ready around 4:00, but things didn't work out. And again, I wasn't able to get on, right? I had some options there. I could have taken umbrage and taken a fit. Oh my God, you said 4:00 and it's 4:15 and you didn't let me on. This is so disrespectful. Or, right, like a normal human being, I could have been like, oh, no, you let me know in advance. This might be a thing. Okay, fair enough.
But this wasn't advanced for Foodshops, right? And also,
what do you mean it wasn't advanced for Foodshops? I told her that she would come on. Again, we had the logs. This isn't
right. Logs
after
pulled up
the
on
information.
Wait a minute, Whick, calm down. Okay,
I know. The reason I'm not calm is because this is just indicative of the dishonesty in the space, right?
Wait,
this is the reason no one wants to work with Foodshops. To be clear, is because she continuously frames these in a very dishonest manner.
Whick, I am approaching this from the perspective as a fellow person who also used to organize panels pretty frequently. I'm not approaching you dishonestly here, okay? If you gave her an estimate, right? But what it looks like here at around 4 p.m., 3:57 p.m., you tell her, hey, it's going to be more like 8 p.m. rather than 7 p.m. What happens is she's not on until 10 p.m., right? Fine, things happen, but she does have a right to be upset about that, especially if she put aside time. And guess what? She is not part of the same organization like you are with PV and all those other people, right? You can decide whether you take umbrage or not with that, but I think it's fair for Foodshops to be offended by that.
I just disagree. I guess it's one of those things where, like, if I think she would have a point if I said, you know what, this is just too good. We can't have you on at all, right? If I just canceled on. I think
I would say that you would want to tell her that like as soon as possible.
Yes, if I had
like 9:55 p.m.
Right? If it was if the time had come and I was like, you know what, we just can't do this. We can't make this. I'm just not going to be able to have you on. I cancel her. Absolutely, you would have a point. But I didn't. I had her on. In fact, I gave her a modicum of creative control.
Like 4
and
hours.
I said, you can decide whether or not.
You're saying it's not 4 hours, but it was 4 hours.
What do you mean it was 4 hours?
It was 4 hours, right? Specifically.
No.
It gave her the initial estimate of 7 p.m. Did you or did you not give her the initial estimate of 7 p.m.?
Yes, and when I revised it the day of before the show to around 8,
yeah.
How many hours are between 8 and 10? Is it 4?
Oh, right. You're right. I'm miscounting. It's 3.
Yep.
3. Right. Still, she waited for 3 hours.
I mean, fair. She waited a few weeks, a few days for this. That's not on.
Well, it is on you for not communicating to Brianna that you were going to have Foodshops on, and then Brianna having to be like, hey, Whick, I don't feel comfortable with having her on, and then you telling Foodshops last minute, hey, it's not going to be 7 p.m., it's going to be 8 p.m., and then telling her again, hey, it's not going to be 8 p.m. It's going to be pushed further.
No one holds a standard for other people. I've never met.
I'm pretty sure I would be held to the standard.
You've worked in the medical industry, haven't you?
Yes. and people
Okay.
get pissed at being
Yeah, they get
15
pissed,
minutes
but
late. Yeah.
It's silly for them to do so.
But this is not the medical industry. This is the entertainment industry. You cannot
Yeah.
use the same excuses for the medical industry as the entertainment industry. That's just People with
Offensive is to
actual
say that,
urgent
oh, you didn't give her
needs.
3
Are you
weeks
fucking
notice.
kidding me?
Dude, how much notice did I like ask for?
There's
or
a
give,
difference
right?
between a streamer covering a hot topic with a bunch of streamers that they want to talk to versus a doctor having to step away because of a medical emergency.
Sure, but this is missing the point of the
It's not missing
entitledness
the
of saying,
point. You
oh,
can't-
had
are
me
you
on when
fucking
you said you
kidding
were
me?
having me
You're
on, but it wasn't
comparing
the
the
exact
medical
time that
industry
you
to
wanted me on, and so I
streamers? Are
feel
you
offended.
fucking
So I'm
kidding
going
me?
to take umbrage at this and make this into a big thing. That's
Are you
childlike behavior.
serious?
It's
This is
unprofessional
clown- this
behavior.
is a
It's
clown-
something that makes
clown
me never
show.
want to work with this
This is
person
a
again.
clown
To be
show.
clear, right?
Holy
I would
shit.
never ever work with this person again, right? To be clear, right? So I am giving her the courtesy of allowing her to reschedule, even though she has behaved in this manner. It's a courtesy.
She
I
shouldn't
do not
reschedule.
owe
This
anyone
is the
my
way. This
anyone.
is the way you're treating her. That she shouldn't reschedule. Honestly,
Good.
I cannot believe you tried to compare this to the medical industry. That is
I
clown
mean, you
show shit.
cannot believe that.
That is
but
clown
these
show
things,
shit, Wick, and it is ridiculous. Holy
Okay.
shit!
It's not at all, right? In both these instances, people have a schedule.
Even in
Right?
the medical
These people have
industry,
time.
waiting 3 hours is unacceptable.
It's not 3 hours. I revised that to 8. Why are you lying?
It's again, even
Why are
waiting
you lying,
2
Stardust?
hours.
I said there you
wait a
have it up
minute.
on your screen. I see
Wick,
it. It's 8
Wick,
p.m.
you
Eastern.
revised
How
it-
many
you
hours are
revised
between
it-
8 and
You
10?
you revised it.
How many
the
hours are
same
between
day.
8 and 10?
Excuse me.
How many
Wick.
hours are
Wick.
between 8 and 10?
2, right? But you revised
No,
that from
not
7.
3, not 4.
Wick,
You've said that
Wick,
multiple times in this
Wick,
conversation.
Wick,
You were trying to
Wick.
extend this out to
Pause.
make it
Pump
way
the
worse than it
brakes.
does,
Pump
when
the
it
brakes.
simply isn't.
Pump the brake. Blood libel. Pump the brakes. Okay, Wick, you messaged Food Shops the day of that panel. You told her, hey, it's not going to be 7 p.m. It's going to be 8 p.m. Fine. Even waiting 2 hours in the medical industry, unless you're working in labor and delivery, is unacceptable. Unless your doctor is delivering a baby, there's no acceptable reason for you to be 2 hours
here's
late.
the deal. If she doesn't like how I run my show, she doesn't have to be on it. That's fine. That's
Okay.
just the end. If she
Look,
felt
I mean,
that she was offended
Other
by
people
this,
are going to look at this and they're going to be like, okay, this
Fair
is the
enough.
way that he treats people that don't have enough clout for him. Then why should I go on his
I
show?
don't have enough. You know what? They're more than welcome to. If people think that this was egregious and unacceptable, then they're free not to come on my show. I'll be fine. I'm never going to force anyone
somebody
to come
says
on my
that
show.
Food Shop asked when they would be ready. Then she asked if she should reschedule. And I
When
don't know
did
if she
she
got a
ask
response. That's what somebody in the chat is saying.
Okay, if she didn't ask that before the stream, if she asked that while I was streaming in chat or something, I didn't see it.
Right. But again, even as somebody who hosted panels before, I'm somebody who's hosted panels before, I've
Sure.
somebody who's hosted interviews before. If somebody messages me both on Discord and in chat, I'm going to respond to them, especially if there's somebody who's waiting to come on. That is just the considerate thing to do.
Can you repeat that? I'm sorry, I was
If
distracted.
somebody, as somebody who has organized panels before and
Sure.
organized interviews before, if
Mhm.
somebody I told them, hey, we're going to have you on at some point during this, ask
Yep.
me both in chat and in Discord about when are you guys going to be ready during the show, and ask also, like, should I reschedule during the show? I am going to respond to them because that person is waiting for a response from me. Even if I'm running the show, it's not that hard to respond to a message.
It is when you're trying to have a conversation in the show. And what am I supposed to say?
You
Because
can
I
always
did not
take
know.
you can always take
let me
a
be clear.
back seat for a minute.
Stop.
You can always
I had
take a
no
back
idea
seat for a
when it was
minute.
going to be over.
Okay, that's
I
fine if
didn't
you have
know if it
no
was going
idea
to
of it,
end
where
at
it's going to be
8:30,
over, then you
at
communicate that to
9.
her.
I didn't
If she
know
asks
when it was
you,
going to be.
hey, should I reschedule? Then
I don't know.
You
That's
should
up to you.
then reply that. I don't know. I don't know when we're going to be finished. That's up to you.
Okay, fair enough. I mean, like, this is a deal. If she doesn't like it, that's fine. But it's just I feel it's silly, and I don't take it seriously. I don't feel that this is a real thing. I don't know. I would never complain about this, like, ever.
Well, again, she put aside her time, right? and she was messaging you on multiple platforms about this, you do want to give people, even if you're involved in the conversation, you can take a back seat for 1 minute to respond to a message.
I told her when to come on at 10, right? When it was over, I said, hey, come on.
Right, and she gave her
came
piece and she
on.
left.
And then she threw a fit.
But
she
you
left.
then she didn't even throw a fit. I thought she was completely reasonable when she came on.
I don't.
She,
I don't.
Wait,
I don't
wait,
find
wait.
that
When she came on, did she raise her voice to you, Whick? Yes or no? Did she raise her voice to you?
Nope.
Did she ask for some time to say her piece and then leave? Yes or no?
She asked for some time to say her piece. I believe so. Yes. And then she left. Yes. I gave her that time.
What about that was what about that was her spurging out, or what about that was her throwing a fit?
Sure.
She
presented
her problems in a very reasonable
way. Did you hear the content of what she said? Do you think that you can throw a fit?
I heard the content of what she said.
You raise your voice to throw a fit?
No, but she didn't sound like she was
let's one at a time. So you can throw a fit without raising your voice, okay? Do you think you can throw a fit by sounding reasonable, right? You sound reasonable, but it still could be a fit. You don't?
Not really,
well, I just disagree. I think you absolutely can, and I think that's what
when somebody's being reasonable, that is the opposite of throwing a fit.
Sound reasonable, not be reasonable.
I think she's reasonable. I think it doesn't sound reasonable to you because you're offended by it. But
offended by it? Why would I be offended by it?
You're offended that you're offended that she is calling you on that.
It's a weird thing to call someone out on, because again, let's go through the facts. I gave her advance notice, right? I said, hey, you're not going to be the star of the show.
How long was that advance notice? It was a day of.
A few hours at least.
It was the day of. It shouldn't have been the day of. You should have communicated to Brianna well in advance that Food Shop was planning to come in, and then that way you would have had much more advance to tell Food Shops, hey, Brianna doesn't want you on at the same time as her.
Like, in a perfect world, I should let people know a year's schedule in advance. That's fair, okay?
It's not even a year. Don't do that with me. Whick, you're doing the thing where you're being hyperbolic or whatever. I'm not asking you to do it a year in advance. I'm saying if you tell Brianna a few days in advance even, hey, Food Shops is planning on calling in, hope that's okay with you, then Brianna would have the chance to say, hey, I'm not okay with that, and then you would have the chance to tell Food Shops a few days in advance instead of the day of.
So had I done that and she responded the same day, okay, will do, is there a reason why I didn't say, day of comes, right, it gets to 8, we go over time, it gets to 10.
Then I would say it's unreasonable of her.
I don't believe
But you told her the day of.
I just don't believe you. I think that there would be some other reason. I think that, again, even if this was 2 weeks notice where this happened, right, I don't see this changing the play, right? Again, because what she's mad at isn't, right, let's be clear what she's mad at here, or what you're saying she's mad at least, isn't the fact that she was told the day of, right? It's the fact that she had to wait more than she was initially told at 8. So she had to wait longer, and that they were talking about her, right, while she wasn't able to come on. That was what she's mad about, right? So what about me making 2 weeks notice of this? If this had said 2 weeks ago instead of today, what would have changed?
She would have known in advance instead of the day of where she's already put aside time to be ready for your show. She would have known several days in advance that Brianna doesn't want her on at the same time, and she would know several days in advance to maybe not put aside that much time for this show, to anticipate that she's not going to be, able to do this.
Changed. The times wouldn't have changed.
But Whick, this is about her being able to plan in advance. Her telling her the day of is not acceptable.
So you think she wouldn't have planned to be on at 8?
I think she would have planned to be much more flexible, yeah.
I don't believe you. I think that she would have planned at 8.
Okay, that's fine. Just don't do that shit with me, because you will hear way more. I will throw way bigger of a fit than Food Shops ever did, okay? And you will not like it. I will tell you right now, you will not like the fit that I throw.
You can throw as big a fit as you like, right? But at the end of the day, that's what it will be. It will be a fit.
If you tell me the slideshow on you, dude.
Excellent engagement. I'm ready for it, right?
Okay. And it affects how much she prepared for that time slot. I'm just saying,
Okay. I know. Okay.
Don't you care when people last minute reschedule on you?
Yeah, but I roll with the punches, and what I don't do,
right?
What I don't do, because look, people have told me 10 minutes before they can't, before that something happened, something came up, whatever reason. Some of it's bullshit, some of
Same.
it's legit. But you know what I don't do? I don't throw a fit about it.
But it's still a
I don't
pain
throw
in
a
the
fit about it.
ass. And
I
she
responded to it way different, right? Than
Wait,
how Food
that
Ships
is the
respond.
difference between us as panel hosts and them as guests. The guests, yes, I'm sorry, that happens all
As
the
a guest,
time when
you
I
have
used to
just
schedule.
as much responsibility as a panel host. Right?
I don't know about that. Like when you are a panel host, the guests are doing you a favor by being on your show.
And as a panel host, you are doing them a favor by platforming them. It's a symbiotic relationship.
It's not that symbiotic. It really isn't. I think when you host a panel show, you have to acknowledge that the panel is reliant on the panel members themselves. If it's just you by yourself, there's no panel. So,
however, right? Look, much as if you can't get on one panel, there are other panel hosts that will platform you. Same with guests. If I can't get certain guests, there are other guests that I can get. This is what makes this space so vibrant and the variety of different types of shows you can have, right? So this idea that we are not replaceable. I'm replaceable. You're replaceable. Everyone's replaceable. We are fungible commodities here, right? So again, I think that it's a symbiotic relationship that guests and hosts both have responsibilities to each other, right?
Here's the thing. I have the same problem with you that I did with any content creator who doesn't hold their word, right? If you give somebody if you give somebody, hey, okay, you tell them in advance 7 p.m., then fine, the day of something came up, probably going to be around 8, and then it keeps getting pushed back, and then this person is asking in your chat, hey, should I reschedule, and they don't get a response, then yeah, I'm going to have a problem with it. You have a responsibility as a host to your guests to be respectful of their time.
I don't know what to tell you. I mean, like, again, I was open, right? I let her know that, hey, after the show, you're going to come on. The one thing, right, is I guessed wrong. I thought it would be a 2-hour conversation. It ended up being a 4-hour conversation. And at the end of that, I did give her a chance to come on and do what she wanted to do. I gave her full creative control. If she wanted to kick Connor at that point, I told her several times that she was able to do. I even asked her directly. Again, this is something where to imply as if I was being disrespectful or that I didn't that I was lying to her or not going with my word is just wrong, straight up.
You shouldn't be treating this as you doing her a favor because again, even if you told her like, okay, 8 p.m. instead of 7. She was still in your chat asking, hey, should I reschedule? And then also getting baited. Wait, let me finish. She was still in your chat asking, hey, should I reschedule? And then she was still also getting baited by your panelists who were talking shit on her. So yeah, she's going to be upset about that.
She was banned for her comments initially, right? I don't usually, right? And this is the first time it would have happened. Have someone and give them and extend to them the ability to come on and to explain themselves and explain the ban away, right? And to have that kind of thing. That is again, a favor I did, right? That's a favor.
That's not a favor.
How is it not a... Okay, so if I've never done this before for anyone else who's been banned in my community, right? And I make an exception for her specifically. How's that not?
But she is literally the topic of conversation at a certain point.
What? She comes up because someone super chatted about her.
Well, she comes up also because this is again, the same thing about the topic of Vaush. And Vaush has been found with way more shit than Foodshops has. And people are giving Vaush way more charitability than Foodshops will ever get. Even though the stuff that Vaush is into is empirically worse by every measure than Foodshops.
Again, that doesn't give her like confused.
Okay, we're gonna have to agree to disagree because like again, this is just about like respecting people's.
It is,
time.
and I think that there is a respect level here, and I just don't see. I don't know if I am said, hey, so let me tell you this, right? Do you think it's respectful when Sunday schedules a debate, right? When he schedules something and says, hey, come on in President Sunday. You hash this out and you get in And then 5 minutes later, he's like, "Oh, I'm done with this," and he dips out. Right? Do you think that's respectful?
No, it's not.
Okay. So when Foodshops, and I scheduled this for Foodshops, right? It does go late, and she gets on, and we're supposed to have this discussion. She gives a 30-minute spiel and dips. Is that respectful?
A 5-minute spiel and dips. Well, after she waited for 3 hours.
Like, it wasn't 5 minutes. It was
after
like
she waited for 3 hours.
2 hours.
It was 3 if we talk about the
2
initial
hours.
time.
2 hours.
Whick,
Let's be
that
real.
was the day of rescheduling. It's still waiting 3 hours.
And yet still.
3
she knew in
hours.
advance that it was
Yes.
going to be late.
3 hours. Absolutely. Yes. She can tell her spiel for 5 minutes and leave.
Okay,
You said
I
that
100%
you don't-
disagree with you.
Wait.
Again, as you said, it is disrespectful.
Wick, you
when
said it
President
yourself.
Sunday, why are you giving a double standard here?
No,
why are you
Wick,
giving
it's
more
not a double
grace
standard.
to
It's not a
Foodshops,
double
who
standard.
is
If you
done
made
doing the same thing
Wick,
than you do
it is
Sunday?
not a double standard. It's
It
not
is
the same
absolutely
thing.
a double standard.
Let me explain to you why
just
it's not the
went
same
through
thing.
this,
Wait,
right?
no, it's not the same thing. Wick, let me explain to you
And
why
you
it's
keep
not the
saying
same
3
thing.
hours.
Wick,
Again,
you can keep trying
8
to
p.m. is
filibuster
what's
me.
on my screen.
You can
I don't know
try.
if you can do
You
math,
can try
right?
to filibuster me, Wick, but it's not going to work with me. I'm a better debater than you. Sorry.
Are you?
Okay.
Well,
yes,
I'm
I
waiting
am.
to see it. Good luck.
President Sunday isn't being pushed off for 3 hours. You're talking about him showing up, giving a 5-minute spiel at the intended time, and then dropping off. Yeah, that's inconsiderate. He wasn't pushed for 3 hours. You can say, "Oh, it's not 3 hours, it's 2 hours." It's still the day of that you're telling her that, "Oh, it's not going to be 7 p.m. It's going to be 8 p.m."
Let me just say this, right? If you are unwilling to be flexible in this space, you are going to fail in this space. If you are unwilling to be flexible with not just guests, but panelists, right? Panel hosts, things like that, it's just not going to work out for you, and you probably need to.
If you're going to be okay,
if you are going to be talk about filibusters, right? And if you are going to say and try to do this thing where you are extending these things and to make it the worst possible thing that it could possibly be, when at the end of the day, what happened was a show ran long, and the person who was going to be my next guest did have to wait a couple hours more than they thought they would. That is what happened. And to mark that as rude is just silly. It's
3
just
hours.
silly.
Yeah, after she's been
2 hours.
talked shit about, right? On that show.
Talk shit about. What did Brianna say?
They were talking shit about Foodshops, saying that she's a drama
Also, what did
farmer.
she say? Exactly.
That she's a drama farmer?
Oh, yeah.
Foodshops is not exclusively a drama streamer. She does political theory on her. She reads more political theory than anybody else that I know.
Drama. I guess if that's shit talk, I guess that's fair.
I mean, yeah, it is shit talk. It's disparaging. Yes. To say that she's less deserving of charitability than Vaush when she probably reads more theory than Vaush is fucking
I didn't
crazy.
say that.
Yeah, but that's what they're saying. And look,
Okay.
Wick, you can say what you want, but I mean, like again, you will not make it even hosting panels if you're going to consistently be disrespectful to the guests that you're having on.
Good thing I wasn't disrespectful in this case. Then.
Well, I'm glad that you think that. So
fair enough. I'm glad that you don't.
Okay.
Anything else?
Nope, that's it.
Gotcha.
Have a
See you
good
later.
one, Wick. I still. Okay, all right. Never mind. Damn, that's it's a pretty rough one. I will say, for the record, I still respect Wick. I still like Wick as a person, but I don't think that's right. Okay. I don't think that's right. I do respect him. I do still like him. I think he's very talented, but I don't think that's right. So I hope he knows that. So let me just tell him that he's talented. He is talented. Please don't with that. Okay. Okay. I lost more respect. Okay. Star. Guys, come on. All right, be nice. Shops is unquestionably a drama farmer, though. She literally did several days of Tom Tent last week. If Shops is a drama farmer, then I am like 10 times a drama farmer than she is. Star, do you not think there's a little leeway with the scheduling when joining panels? There does seem to be some wiggle room there. No, I agree. Things happen, right? I have had to push panels back and notify my guests like an hour that, hey, it's going to be an hour late, or I have had to tell guests like, a couple days before, like, I'm so sorry guys, I have to cancel this, right? But yeah, no, I mean, like, if somebody has been getting disparaged, if somebody in this, and I do think Foodshops has been disparaged quite a bit during this, and then we turn around and we see people have a completely different view of this towards Vaush, then yeah, it's going to be upsetting. The whole situation upsetting, because I personally, I do think that people owe her an apology. If they're gonna give Vaush all this charitability, but none to her, when Vaush has, again, said way worse things, been found with way worse things, et cetera, et cetera. Right? And again, I'm not saying that I'm approving of what she's into, because I do think that shit's degenerate. But yeah, I mean, she has a right to be upset about this. So, but yeah, things happen, like, why am I more entitled to respect than she is if if she's a drama farmer and I'm a drama farmer? So I called that out right away when Keffels and Tipsters started backing Vaush, like a week after dissing Foodshops. Yeah, no, I mean, like, Vaush again was caught with like considerably worse shit. So, I mean, honestly, I wasn't a fan of Foodshops doing that interview with Anna Voir. It seemed kind of exploitative, in my opinion. I mean, we've all been there. We've all been exploitative, I do have to say. Destiny, Stardust, Tom, even Whick, all cover drama. Who doesn't? I suppose that's true. Fellas in here just sweeping for Whick. Okay. Brianna was the one making excuses for Vaush because she likes him. Do you not watch, or do you disagree? I think people make... I'm not disagreeing, Infallible Foul. People make excuses for their friends all the time. I'm guilty of it. But, this is... To act like... Okay, sure, this conversation is about Vaush, right? But to act like she isn't tangentially related to this. Like, yeah, it's, it is, right? So, yeah, that's just what it is, right? But, I do think, even to say that, like, the topic isn't related to her, it clearly is, She was just getting dogged on by massive content creators, like, right before the Vaush drama happened. So, but yeah, we still like Whick. He's still based, I don't like any of these people, TBH, especially Stardust. M60! We DM on Discord. You don't like me? What the frick?